Hello friends, let's have a look at what I think is the best way to play Final Fantasy VII on the Steam Deck. Final Fantasy VII is regarded as one of the most important games of all time. It was released on 1997 for the original PlayStation and was the game that introduced me to RPG genre even before Pokémon games did. At the time, the game had very impressive graphics with 3D characters walking on pre-rendered backgrounds, fully 3D battle scenes with awesome effects, and full motion video cutscenes. But what was impressive at the time is unfortunately starting to show its age after 25 years. Square Enix re-released the game on PC on 2012, but the reissue was underwhelming at best. It had been upgraded to run on modern PCs, but had mostly the same graphics as the original version. At points, it even had worse performance than the PlayStation version. While good for retro gamers, this was not the HD remaster the fans had been asking for years. So it was up to them to pick up the ball and remaster the game for modern audiences. This is the Satsuki Yatoshi mod for PC version of Final Fantasy VII. Satsuki Yatoshi mod mostly preserves the original gameplay of the Final Fantasy VII, but makes it presentable on the 2020s. The most prominent upgrade are the upscaled backgrounds and cutscenes. They have been upscaled with AI-assisted and manual methods. The results are quite impressive. There are some artifacts of the AI upscaling process, but generally the backgrounds are much more detailed, text on them is readable, and all the pixelated plugginess is gone. Cutscenes have been interpolated to 30 FPS, which looks much smoother than the originals. But you can see some artifacts if you're going frame by frame doing your homebrew digital foundry analysis of the game. Perhaps a more subtle change are the new field character model. It took me a moment to realize how big of an upgrade this actually is. The original game had these chibi characters on the field and more realistic looking models on the battle scenes. The modders have gone and created field models for all of the characters in the style of the battle models. It's a very tasteful upgrade. The new models are suitably low poly and mostly flat shaded, so they feel like the original PlayStation could have rendered them. To be honest, the two different character styles of the original game kinda clashed, and the new models fit much better on the upscaled backgrounds. If you're fond of the chibi characters, you can disable the new models. Actually, you can pick and choose what mods to enable, which is great. The mod is mainly centered around improving the visuals of the game. By default, it enables emulated PS1 music for the game. I'm very nostalgic for the original soundtrack, and I think the original synthesized soundtrack suits perfectly the cyberpunk mood of the game. Apparently, the emulated music is still a small upgrade over the default music. I couldn't hear much of a difference. The mod is still in active development, and one of the latest additions is the 60 FPS mode. Even the 2012 version of the game was limited to 15 to 30 FPS, even on a powerful machine. I think the 60 FPS mode is a great upgrade. Naturally, it makes the game flow much smoother, but it also makes navigating the numerous menus of the game much more effortless. The 60 FPS support is still marked as beta feature, but it works pretty well. I've seen some small combat animation glitches, and when doing side-by-side comparisons, the timings of the scenes didn't quite match, so it's probably not legal for speedrunning. But for everyone else, I would definitely recommend enabling it. Some smaller options available in the mod are fully analog movement, always running, and ability to save anywhere. The analog movement feels very nice, but for some reason it disables the cinematic combat camera. The save anywhere feature comes with the warning that it might not work in all situations. I haven't run into issues, but I'm still mostly saving at the save points, just like 25 years ago. But how does the mod work on Steam Deck then? To put it simply, brilliantly. Generally, the small screen of the deck is excellent for older games. The text and the menus are perfect size on the handheld. The story of the game moves very fast compared to Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, which is great on the go. Installing the mod is a bit of an ordeal. I have another video coming up on how to install it. I actually had some trouble playing the original unmodded game on the deck. I couldn't get past this controls info pop-up without connecting a physical keyboard, and the default controller mapping was all over the place. Some commands were even completely missing. On the other hand, the modded game worked out of the box. You can use the mods launcher with the touchscreen. The biggest issue I found is that the music completely stops playing if you put the deck to sleep mode. Also, connecting an external controller requires you to map it as the first player controller every time you start the game. Since the game is so old, I found out that you can set deck's TDP limiter to 4 watts and the game still runs fine, even on the 60 FPS mode. With this setting, I've seen battery life estimate up to 5 hours, so you don't need to put the deck to sleep whenever you go to refill your drink. And the save anywhere function helps when you need to put the deck aside. Unfortunately, the modded game doesn't support cloud saves, so you'll need to manually transfer your saves if you have started the game on another machine. To be honest, I have been a little bit hesitant to go back to the original Final Fantasy VII. It was a very important game in my childhood, but I was afraid it would not hold up. After finishing up the remake on PS4, I was itching for more, so I decided to finally do it. The mods smooth away the rough edges, but the story and the gameplay hold up better than I expected. I was out of Midgar in about 4 hours, and the materia system is just as interesting as I remember. I would say Satsuki Yatoshi mod is the best way to play Final Fantasy VII, and the Steam Deck might just be the most comfortable machine for me to play it. Unfortunately, even the power of all these mods can't prevent what happens at the end of the first disc. I hope you have enjoyed this review of Satsuki Yatoshi mod for Final Fantasy VII. I have another video coming up showing you how to install a mod on the Steam Deck, so look forward to that.